We are live. Welcome to Lead Different, Learn Different. Um, Very excited once again to share a bunch of information with everybody. I have been traveling around helping people understand that there's a need to lead different, right? We can no longer keep leading organizations the way we've always led. We're not looking for smarter, we're not looking for better leadership, we're looking for different. You see, that the challenge is that the world has changed, work has changed, people have changed, but leadership hasn't. So, if you'd like to get a copy of my new book, It's Time to Lead Different, I will drop the link into this live stream, and I will, at the end of this, won't do it now, I'll do it at the very end of this, drop the link into this where you can access the book for free. You can get the PDF version of it for free. You can listen to every chapter as a podcast. So instead of recording an Audible, what I have done with It's Time to Lead Different is I've actually recorded each chapter like it's a podcast. So whatever chapter you want to listen to, you can just listen to that in isolation. You don't have to download a whole book and listen to the whole thing. You can actually just pick the chapter that interests you and you can just listen to it. The only challenge is you have to listen to me telling you it. So if you'd like to get that, I think about 9 of the chapters are already up. I'm releasing about 4 or 5 chapters every week. Or you can just go onto Amazon, or there's a link on the website to actually the landing page, which I will share with you, to actually download the hard copy, because it's a great little book. Okay, so highly recommend that you have a look at that. It's like a 90-minute read, and obviously equally a 90-minute listen if you choose to use the audio version that'll be on the landing page that I will drop in after the fact. So as I have been going around helping people understand that it is time to lead different, with that, what has come up as well is obviously the fact that if we need to lead different, we may need to also train or develop leaders differently to how we have in the past. So what I want to be able to share with all of you in today's session is if there's a need to lead different, well, then there's a need to learn different. And I want to take you a little bit of a journey as to why that is the case, because what we've been teaching people in terms of leadership and how we've been teaching people in terms of leadership needs to change. So let's dive right into it. I want to share with you this, that it is time to, I'm going to get that StreamYard thing off of the screen here. That might work better. Okay, there we go. That was annoying having the live stream showing up there. So, by the way, if you do have any questions, comments, you name it, please put them in here on the live stream as we go through this. If it's done after the fact, I will answer all questions after the fact. Or if you have one while we're going through this session, please put it up yourself right now, and I will answer it as best as possible as we go through this. So let's talk about the need to lead different and learn different. What I want to share with everybody here is that we need to actually develop leaders who actually learn how to lead differently. Let's make sure I'm on the right screen. Got all the tech working beautifully. You see, because traditionally what we've done with leadership development in the world today is we would send our leaders to a 2-day offsite. They come back, all inspired, fireworks. It's really exciting, great content, great facilitator, really excited. And so I wonder if I can do this. There you go. Hey, Vanessa, there you go. Thank you, Vanessa. It's so good to see you. Vanessa and I have been trying to catch up with each other on my numerous trips to Perth and have yet to be able to make that happen. But appreciate having you here online, Vivi. Thank you so much. So we send our people to these 1-day, 3-day, 5-day courses, and I call it like fireworks. You get really excited and it's amazing. Then you get back to the reality of work and life and all this great information in a binder or in your notebook that gets put on the shelf, and you don't end up actually doing much with it because a few weeks later, nothing's really changed. And I would imagine this may sound familiar for a lot of you. Please understand that you're not alone, and it's not your leader's fault. The model is broken. Because here's what we've known for 140 years. This is the ROI killing or hiding in your training budget. For 140 years, we have known the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. And it was a study done in 1885 by Ebbinghaus, of course, named after him. And what he found is that 79% of what leaders learned is already gone, based on his statistics, that 58% of information is only retained after 20 minutes. So even after 20 minutes, you're only lucky to retain 60% of it, for example. then 33% after 1 day, 25% after 6 days, and then after 31 days, you're lucky to remember 21%. Okay, so extrapolating that to your leadership development, 79% of what your leaders are learning last month is already gone. Okay, it's not a training model. It's not a training problem. It's actually a architect or design problem of the process. And so we can't keep using that same methodology. Now, what modern science tells us that, and if anyone's ever done any bodybuilding or gone to the gym or lifting weights, uh, that the initial learning drops dramatically. When we're lifting weights, you pick up a weight, you have resistance, you build the muscle, you work the muscle, you tear it a little bit, then it rests, and then you pick up the weight and you do it again, and you tear the muscle and let it rebuild. And every time you do that, the muscle comes back stronger and stronger, right? This is how muscle is built. But in traditional training and development courses, we don't do that, right? The science has proven it to us. The initial learning drops dramatically, and it flattens more and more after each review. And then the more you're waiting, the more is forgotten. And the only thing that beats cramming is spaced repetition. I learned many, many years ago that spaced repetition is the mother of all skill. Okay, so please understand, spaced repetition is the mother of all skill. And if we do something 1 day, 3 day, or 5 days, you're losing out on the repetition. You're losing out on the building of the muscle, the leadership muscle that your organization needs. So before we get too deep into that, I think it'd be really important for you to understand who we are and why you should trust what I'm about to share with you. So first and foremost, our organization, Circle Leadership, we're a team of practitioners. Every single one of us has led organizations. We've been in leadership roles in multiple countries, multiple types of organizations. We are practitioners. We're not theorists or academics, although we do have our stuff backed up by theory and academia. And 3 of us are actually published authors on the subject of leadership. And we've all been in the trenches. We've all done the 1 day, 3 day, 5 day courses. We've done all the bits and pieces that we talk about that don't work. We've experienced it all. And we've all been in search of a smarter way or a different way to actually develop leadership that sticks. And that is leadership of people. So this is our team, from Colin in the US to Jordan, our CEO, to Gavin and myself and Nikki and Justin, who is also a published author on leadership. Every single one of us has learned what we've learned from being leaders and doing leadership and working with some of the most amazing leaders in the world that none of you will probably know who they are unless you have also had the privilege of working with those leaders. So we come to you with a practitioner's lens, not someone who's just studied leadership and then is repeating what somebody else has been doing. We've been doing this work. Myself, as a master certified practitioner here at Circle Leadership, apart from my greatest accolades of being a proud dad and amazing husband, self-proclaimed, of course, I founded Circle Leadership back in 2018 and have been building it ever since. But I have been doing leadership for 35 years across 3 continents now. I'm the international chair for the Intercontinental Chamber of Commerce. I'm an ambassador for the Global Company Culture Association and an ambassador and mentor for Inspiring Rare Birds that mentors female leaders and entrepreneurs across Australia, New Zealand, and Papua New Guinea. I am an accidental author of 3 books. I am a blunt contrarian on leadership, and I am definitely a much better golfer in my mind than I am on the golf course. But so this isn't about golf, so you don't have to worry about taking any tips from me here on golf. But like I've said, we're a team of practitioners, and we're here to challenge what we believe to be true about leadership and leadership development. Because here's one thing that I know to be true, that today's workforce is built for tomorrow's workplace, but tomorrow's workplace just isn't ready yet. And that means that you leaders you have today are not the leaders that you need tomorrow. So modern thinking, if we've talked about what traditional thinking is, modern thinking in a leadership context or in any training or development, as a matter of fact, is that effective learning requires 3 to 7 repetitions, but they should be spaced out over time, not crammed in one single event. It's not like writing lines at school where you just go, I will not be a naughty boy, I will not, I will not, I will not. That doesn't work. So they need to be spaced out over time, that they need to be active rather than passive. They actually have to be applied into real work, not just absorbed here, but in the actual practice of doing them. And we need to make sure that we're doing them in different contexts, self-directed, group reinforced, embedded in practice. So when you embody these three principles into your training and development, you will start to see a far greater transformation from a behavioral point of view than you will just going to a 1 day, 3 day, 5 day course or program. So this is why it is time to lead different, not harder, not louder, different. Okay, because we need to understand what leadership is all about. Having done leadership for 30 odd years, as I've already mentioned, people have come up to me numerous times and they've said, Dave, you do all this stuff on leadership. What does leadership actually mean to you? And it's a great question. And so for a long time, I sat on it until I could come up with my own definition for leadership. And this is what I came up with, that to me, leadership is all about helping other people become the best version of themselves so they can do their life's best work while in my care and beyond. So helping other people become their best to do their best while in my care and beyond. It's not a philosophy, it's a commercial imperative to think this way. And when you think about this definition here, where in here does it say that you actually need a position or title to demonstrate leadership? And hopefully you'll notice it doesn't. So the first thing to understand about leadership in the world today is that we want to build all around leadership, not more top-down leadership, right? Top-down leadership is a thing of the past. All-around leadership is the way forward. We need to create more leadership depth and strength across our organizations. And when I talk about depth, once again, I'm not talking about more layers. I'm talking about going deeper into the concept of leadership. Okay, so number one, you do not need a position and title to demonstrate leadership. And we want to build all-around leadership in our organization. Leaders develop more leadership, not more followers. Okay, then the second part of this definition that hopefully resonates with you is the last sentence, while in your care and beyond. When you think about leadership, what does that tell you about the concept of leadership? So hopefully it should start to incite some thoughts in the fact that I'm actually responsible for this person as a human being and helping them become their best to do their best. So that means I should be looking at them as a human being first and an employee second. Okay, so all around leadership, and I look at you as a human being first and an employee second. If I'm here to help you become the best version of you to do your life's best work while in my care and beyond, that's what leadership's all about. Management most cases only cares about you as a means to an end to help them get the results that they want. Leadership says, I care about you as a person, and I know if I help you become your best, I know you'll do fantastic work here. So if I can set the conditions for you to have the greatest experience here and do your life's best work, you'll do great stuff. So this is what leadership's all about. Now, in our organizations, when you think about everything about your business, what's the only thing that people can't copy? Let's talk about everything they can copy first. When you think about your organization, what are all the things that people can copy in your business? Right? When you think about your products, services, your technology, your tech stack, your branding, your marketing, your AI, it can copy everything that you're doing except for one thing. The only one thing that other people will not be able to copy about your business is your ability to capture the spirit of your people. Right? So it's your ability to capture your spirit of your people, which therefore then becomes your one true sustainable competitive advantage in your business. Right? And that is the critical thing for organizations. So leaders who can unlock that, all right, can you imagine people who can unlock that spirit of your business, that the people, and the ones like what that could do for your organization. But if you have leaders who can't unlock that, that is suppressing your ability to evolve and grow as an organization. So we understand what leadership really is all about, which is about people. So we lead people and we manage resources, and people are not a resource. And then, therefore, if your people and your ability to capture that spirit of your people is your one true sustainable competitive advantage, leadership will become one of the most critical investments you'll make going forward into the future. The problem is what we've trained people, as we've already discussed, on leadership, and how we've trained them is not going to work in today's world. Because here's one thing else that I know to be true, is that businesses do not run out of money. Businesses run out of ideas and innovation, and ideas and innovation come from people, not budgets, nor AI. So it's a finding game, not a funding game. What we need to be able to do is find the best talent, retain the best talent, and develop the living daylights out of that talent. And if we can capture that spirit of those people, think of the ideas and innovation that could come from that. traditional leadership and traditional leadership training will not help this at all, which is why businesses today have high disengagement rates. We're spending all this money, and businesses still aren't surviving or thriving at the level that they could, because all this equation is not working. So let me introduce you to another option, perhaps a new worldview or a different way to move forward. What we have developed at Circle Leadership is what we call our Leadership Evolution Action Plan. It is a methodology that we have that all our clients use to help their leadership teams evolve to become the best version of themselves, to do their life's best work while in our care and beyond. And it is built on some fundamental principles. And first and foremost is this: less is more, more often. We'd rather you focus on less and learn more and then do that more often. So can you imagine focusing on less and then going deeper into that concept and then doing that repetitively more often? So we need to stop adding more programs and start adding more leadership, start building better leaders. Our philosophy on our Leadership Evolution Action Plan is built on this premise as well, that content times context equals concept. This is why LEAP is built different than any other leadership program you may have tried. Firstly, please understand that leadership is a process, not a program. So I've been doing leadership for about 30 years, and I am still learning. As I said, the world's changed, work's changed, people have changed. That's going to keep happening. So what does leadership look like in that context? So we need to keep evolving as a leader. Therefore, you cannot go to a 3-day, 5-day course, slap a certificate up on the wall behind your head and go, look at me, I'm a leader. Content is critical. So it has to have precise learning modules, bite-sized and evidence-based, designed for commercial reality. So everything in our LEAP is designed for commercial reality, right? Bite-sized and very relevant to the on-the-job expectations of leadership in an organization based on that definition. Then we take that content and then we contextualize that directly for each individual in the organization. Real world application, peer cohort learning embedded in your actual work. So you learn the content and then you contextualize it with your peers into your own workplace. And then you develop your action plan. So you own your action plan to embed the concept. The lasting behavioral change for the leaders who want to lead differently. And this is how you actually start to do it. Every session, learn the content, multiply it by context, and then take actions to embed the concept. And then you do that again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. So here it is in a much more simpler way to look at it. We teach the content individually. Then we educate through group coaching the context, where you're bouncing ideas off your peers, you're talking about your own actual workplace, and looking, what does that look like for you? And then you will develop your action plan to embed that concept immediately into your workplace. It's also built on the Pareto principle. And this is a big one. So Pareto was the Italian economist who studied the wealth of Italy and found that the top 20% of top 20% of the population owned 80% of the wealth. And then that principle is applied in many other ways. So let's look at how does that apply in a leadership development context. So can you imagine if 20% of what you're learning on a 3-day, or let's say a 5-day for mathematical, it'd be simple. You go to a 5-day leadership course, and 20% of that information that you're going to learn is going to produce 80% of the results. But you've got to spend the other 80% of the time just to learn the 20% that will make the minor bit of difference. What if, though, you spent just the 20% to get the 80%, and then at 80% of extra time you put back into the first 20%, and then you could exponentially embed that in there. So everything we've built on LEAP is we've taken the 20% that will produce the 80%. Okay, so it just focuses in on the main things, the one thing or the two things or whatever it is that will give you the 80%. And then your time is freed up to take the remaining 80% you would have spent on a course or a program to put back into that 20%. I'd rather you double down on the 20%, or this time 4 times down on the 20% by putting the 80% back into it to get the greatest results. And then do that again. So this is what it looks like in a more practical sense. So spread out over 12 months, spaced, active, and applied. You take the content that we have and the sessions that we've developed as practitioners in terms of leading people, And then you'll watch a video. You can watch, listen, or read. Same thing. So depending on your learning style, a approximately 10-minute session or lesson. And you do that 2 times every 2 weeks. So you get at least four. And remember, for 3 to 7 times is the best way. So you get at least 4 times you're absorbing that content. And you start to learn the content. Then at the 2 week mark, you would join in with a group cohort where you will be working with people to contextualize what you've learned and how that would apply to you in your workplace. But at the same time, you're also learning from other peers in different organizations and industries how they're applying that same learning opportunity. And then you will develop your tactical plan on how you're going to apply that. And then you spend the next 2 weeks putting into practice the stuff that you'd learned for the first 2 weeks, the stuff that you've contextualized, and then start to embed the concept through actions over the remaining 2 weeks. And then you start the cycle all over again. So as you can see in the diagram, where is it over here? Up over there, basically we'll work on one thing at a time. And then once we've embedded that, we keep doing that. The next month you take the next piece and then you embed that and you keep doing that. The next month, another piece, and you keep doing that. So over a period of 12 months, you transform from who you are today to the leader that you're capable of becoming. You're not just the same leader with more knowledge. You've actually become the leader that you're capable of becoming. So let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into the Leadership Evolution Action Plan and see what's involved in it. So as we talked about, this is not about creating more layers of leadership in your organization. This is about going deeper into the concept of leadership. And there's 3 layers of leadership in terms of the depth of leadership that we go into. And first and foremost is leadership of self. It has well been said that you can't lead anybody else until you understand how to lead yourself. So the first thing we always work through is leadership of self. So the first 3 months are understanding self. And self-awareness is the key to self-leadership. So we do a lot of deep diving into understanding who you are as a person and what you're all about. How your mind works, your comfort zones, where you're comfortable, where you're not, how to expand those, and starting to really map out what that theme or your evolution, the leader that you want to become famous for, known for. Then once you've understood that, then we move into about 6 months of leader of teams. So leadership of self, and then now you know how to lead yourself, you can help others. So then you become a leader of teams, and then you learn how to lead other people. And then we spend about 6 months through different things of becoming a coach, not a boss, your leadership styles, communication styles, and everything, how to help other people to become their best, to do their best while in your care and beyond. And then the final 3 months of that process then is diving into lead the business, where then you take the whole leader, the team and everything you've done and learn how to facilitate the collective wisdom of that organization and achieve amazing results with it. Because that's what leading the business is all about. It's a group of human beings all working together for some greater good or common goal. So then you learn how to facilitate the collective wisdom of your organization and apply that to achieving amazing outcomes. So you spend 3 months on learning about yourself, 6 months about how to lead others, and then taking that in the last 3 months on how to transform your organization and take your organization to the next level. All following that same process of content times context equals concept. And then inside of LEAP, there's a whole bunch of information here that every session that we take people through in LEAP, there's supporting tools in the Circle Leadership Toolbox to back it up. So there's 12 precision modules, 3 different leadership dimensions, and but one integrated ecosystem, and all the tools, models, templates, resources to support you through that journey. And then when you're looking at it in the flow of work here, you can access it anytime, anywhere from any device. Just go into the toolbox, you'll be able to access the lesson that you're working on. And in this case, there's a simple video that you better go through. And in that video, there'll be the video lesson. There'll be a description of the session. There's diagrams, models, and templates there to use that you'll see me as a master certified practitioner running the content of the lesson. And there's also space in there for you to put a comment, question. If you want to ask a question that any one of your peers can jump in and answer, any of our practitioners can jump in and answer for you. So you don't even have to wait for the contextual session to get answers to questions, right? And every session has a model or a tool, blank templates for you to follow along in the learning as you're watching it and following along 2 times at least every week. So you get 4 times in the 2-week period. It's all provided for you. You don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is pay attention and then practice and go through and start to individually understand the content. And you can see this particular video here of me going through, this is how your mind works. This one's 9 minutes and 49 seconds. So in the 2 weeks leading up to the contextualization session, you need to spend 40 minutes. And then we would have the 2-hour coaching cohort where you would go through that. And then you put the stuff into action straight away. So in 2 hours and 40 minutes throughout that month, plus your ability to start acting on those things, no more than 4 hours a month or an hour a week, and you're actually becoming the leader that you're capable of. Because you don't need to spend the 80% of the time to chase the 20% when you can do the 20% that gives you the 80%. And there are, like I said, models and tools. So this is there's a template for this. And then there's me whiteboarding this with you in the video lesson itself. And then there is access, as I've already mentioned, to the toolbox in here. And in the toolbox, there's a whole bunch of tools, as I said, other videos, templates, models, everything you could ever want to embed any of the lessons that you're working through, to help you with your action plans and to anything else that you would need. And if it's not in there, you can just ask for it. And additional coaching and support to help you with whatever you're working through. So what's the real cost of doing nothing? Okay, now $600,000 sounds a lot of money. It's a conservative cost if you lose 2 senior managers in a single year in an organization. But let's face the facts. Forget the $600,000. Let's just push that to the side. 70% of people in organizations today are disengaged, and leadership is the primary cause. So if you have 20 people in your organization, 14 of them are probably just coming in and doing the minimum they can to get a paycheck. If you have 100 people, that's 70 of your employees are doing the bare minimum, is what a disengaged person does. Not an actively disengaged person actually subconsciously sabotages your organization, but a disengaged person is just doing the bare minimum to do whatever they need to do to get home, to get their paycheck and go on with their life. You're not getting any discretionary effort. You're not getting the best of that human. You're paying 100% for them to be there, and you're lucky if you're tapping into 50% of what they can contribute to the greater good of the organization, because you're not treating them like a human being first. 10% of most leadership budgets are spent on things that actually matter. So you're only spending 10% on the stuff that actually matters. So if you're spending, $50,000 on leadership development in your organization, maybe 5,000 of it's being spent effectively. Please also remember that people don't leave companies, they leave leaders, right? Leadership is one of the biggest reasons why people leave organizations. And so question is, how many hours a week do you spend compensating for the leadership gaps that you've already paid apparently to close? And then multiply that by 52. And that will start to tell you what you're actually spending on leadership development that's not getting you the results you're looking for. We have a lot of our clients who've gone through this process, who've shared their beautiful thoughts and insights on why they prefer the Leadership Evolution Action Plan to go through, and why it's making the difference that past leadership training and development has not made for them. We have a new group starting in July. It'll be starting in the beginning of July, 20 seats. We keep it to about 20 people in each group, so everyone has time to contextualize and to work together. We don't like the groups to be much bigger than 20 because once again, just want to make sure everyone has the time to practice and work through with the sessions with each other and really get that deep peer-to-peer learning and the coaching that they need and the support that they need through the process. It's a 12-month process, and enrollments close on June 15th. So if this is something that you'd be interested in finding out more about for your organization, or you would like to talk with us about, please feel free to do so. Here we go. I'll put this link in there now. There you go. I've just popped the link into here. So I'll put it up on the screen. circleleadership.com/learn different. If this is something that you think would be of interest to you in your organization, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. The landing page link I've just put there, there's plenty of places to book a time to have a chat with us. It's time to invest in human-centric leadership. Okay, every business will have 2 levers that they can pull going forward. And that is going to be humans and AI. You will deploy AI and employ humans. Every other outcome or result for your business will be through those 2 things. And it will also be constrained purely by how well you bring those 2 things together. The interesting thing to also understand today is that going forward into the future, your team members will be having AI agents helping them with their work. So that in itself will predicate that every single person in your organization is going to need to understand leadership, because they're going to be leading a team of 4 or 5 AI agents. And even though you were doing a role before that wasn't leadership in context, you may be leading a team of AI agents in the work that you're doing. So everyone's going to need to understand leadership in your organization, which is why all around leadership is going to become even more critical in the world of work as we move forward. So, number one, if you're interested in learning more about how Leadership Evolution Action Plan might be benefit for your organization, if you're tired of spending money on leadership development that does not create behavioral change in your leadership team, you may want to book a call with us. If you understand that the world has changed, work has changed, and people have changed, but leadership hasn't, you may want to book a call with us. If you just want to learn more about different ways that you can help evolve your organization or your own leadership, you may want to book a call with us. All right. 30 minutes, no pitch, no pressures. We're very selective about who we allow into the Leadership Evolution Action Plan, because we want to make sure that we have people there who are willing to go first so the teams can go further. So you book a call with us and find out if it's right for you, and we'll find out if you're right for the leadership group itself. There's different types of investment that you can make in terms of how you invest in the LEAP. And 12 months from now, you will your leaders will have evolved, or we'll just keep working with them until they do. No extra cost, no fine print. If they follow the process and do everything that they need to do, we'll keep working with you until they get there. We have no problems with that. So your leaders are ready to evolve. The question is, are you ready to invest in them and invest in something different rather than the same thing you've always invested in certificates and credits? Because we've measured leadership based on completion rates rather than behavioral change. Leadership Evolution Action Plan is offering you something different. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments here, or book a time with us and we'll have a discussion with you about what your situation with your organization is and how we can help you evolve your world of work through evolving the leadership in your organization. Because going forward, it is going to be one of the 2 critical success factors that will determine whether you thrive or survive into this new world of work. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you all for those who were online as we went through this. Appreciate those of you who've jumped in, and anyone who has any comments or questions after the fact, please just once again leave us a comment, ask us a question. I'd rather you be very well informed, so you can make the smartest investment, make the smartest buying decision for yourself and your organization. But make no bones about it, you can't keep spending money the way you've spent it and expect a new result, because that is apparently the definition of insanity. What we're offering you is a new way of thinking, which will lead to a new way of doing. So appreciate everyone joining in on this. Thanks very much. Look forward to answering your questions and having a chat with each of you as you look to see whether this is the right way forward for your organization.